Wait. There we go. Back from commercial. As you're seeing, it's kind of a makeshift show. We're a little late practicing because we got some news, and I still gotta get something up here. I just been sitting in this chair already for about the past 2.5 hours, and I'm still not ready. Shout out to people who actually do this every day, as you're about to find out. That's me. Oh, I got to use that clip too. I text myself stuff that I need to use, and I'm trying to find the list that I compiled for today that we're going to talk about. I mean, I got some stuff on the show notes, but I'm not even finished with that. That's how this morning has been going. There's my post. There we go. Oh, that's the live. There I am. All right. Up the middle. That's where we're going. That is couple. There's so much. I know you probably don't care about half of it, but so you at least have a clue what's happening and why. There's a huge election coming up, and as a result, we're going to be going 5 days a week. I'm not going to really concentrate on looking into the camera because most of this is audio only anyway. And I can also give you this angle. But what it was just behind me, I need to talk about anyway, because that's kind of the new big deal. And that is Yerg's Media is now Mastiff Media. And we're going to get a better backdrop for if it's ever behind me again. But I don't need my name all over all of this stuff. So this is kind of the attitude that I'm having today. So Zen. So drag queens. That's actually, these are the show notes. First of all, we're already expanding, and that's another reason why we really got to go to 5 days a week. The Yerg's Radio Network is what we're already calling that, and that's going to stay. 99.1 WDJY. That was one of the things I've been working on all morning. As of Monday, 5 days a week, we're now live in Atlanta, starting at 11. And on Monday and Friday, we have another hour at 12. Okay, let me backtrack. On Mondays, we'll be on 2 hours in Atlanta. On Friday, that second hour is Tampa. Right now, our only day that we're on live in Tampa is Friday at noon. And that's, by the way, 1490 WWPR in Bradenton and Tampa Bay. Pretty decent signal. And both of these are also online, of course. WDJYFM.com and 1490 WWPR We're now also on 3, soon to be 4 internet stations. The UG, think underground, but it stands for something else, Universal Group or something like that. The UG.media is in London. And now we are the eyes, ears, and voice for the UK in American politics. And that's how they're marketing us. So that's awesome. We're still on our very own Rainbow Radio, which is going to go 24/7 later this fall. And of course, Yerg's Radio, which has been 24/7 for almost a year. I can't believe it. It's that fast. 99.9 WXJB in Brooksville in the Nature Coast of Florida is another station we're talking to. If we get that station, I can't believe I'm getting myself into this, but if we get that station, we'll be the morning show. Let me say that again for those of you who just crapped your pants. I got to get used to using appropriate language too. We'll be the morning show in Florida. Northern Tampa Bay. Brooksville is about an hour and a half, depending on traffic. I know it's an East Coast thing. How far away do you live? About 35 minutes. By flight, walking. Anyway, Brooksville and the Nature Coast, that is in Hernando County. That also helps you. And we're also talking with another AM station in Clearwater, which, if you haven't figured out yet, is about halfway between Bradenton and Brooksville. See where I'm going with this? And for a morning show, how would that not be awesome? To be covering from as far south as Sarasota and as far north as Ocala, which is just shy of Tallahassee, the state capital. So you know where I'm going next. Also talking about actually acquiring, I shouldn't say this part too loud, and I won't mention it again because, yeah. The AM station in Clearwater is for sale, as are 2 stations in what's called a repeater. It's basically you have another antenna in another part of the market or another market where you're licensed to put out the same signal, maybe, or the same show, the same broadcast, maybe not on the same frequency, although these 2 are, all 3 of them are the same frequency. So now we would be going from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, down into and covering the Keys all the way down to Key West, and now all the way up the coast almost to Tallahassee. Yes, there are radio stations for sale up there too. Accepting applications right now for investors, because I cannot do all that myself. And this is very new, by the way. This is not far along. Another reason why I won't be talking about it is because there are others trying to block it. That's all I'm going to say. People that own the properties, or part owners, minority owners, are trying to block the sales have been literally for years. These stations have been on for a while and still not sold. So for today, we got drag queens to talk about. Somebody call Ron DeSantis. Tell them we got drag queens today. Last Friday's Olympics apparently had drag queens in it, having no idea that one of these so-called drag queens was actually a woman. That's how ignorant these people are. They say, well, there's only a man and a woman with sex. You can't have these switching around, and today I'm a woman, tomorrow I'm a man or a guy because I'm not a real man, whatever they want to say. They can't tell the difference anyway. If you're living under a rock, and if your life sucks that much, here's what's happened. In the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which, by the way, is going on, we're wrapping up, well, we're about 2/3 of the way through week number 1. And usually it's about a 2-week gig. So Olympics has their opening ceremony. I'm about to change the thing behind me. So I'm not I got a black shirt on today with a black background. All you see is my head and messed up hair. Didn't I say this was radio and I didn't really care? Do I have something? There we go. I think I got something. Let's use that. Well, gotta make it a little bigger. Boom. The opening ceremony apparently wasn't that great. I didn't watch it either. And all this so-called news that we now know about, I learned from Twitter, Faceplace, whichever. And found out just like you did, because none of us watched it. Let's fess up. Some of you that know about it do because you heard it here earlier, or you saw it on my social media, because we didn't even have an episode since the opening. We were on the air when this was going on Friday. One, I don't know what the whole purpose was, but I guess they're showing part of French culture, which is European, so it's a little bit more liberal than here. But we can be offended somewhere else because we control that country too, I guess. But apparently these drag queens and this woman, part of their display, or their display, part of the opening ceremony, was what looked like, but was not, the Last Supper. It was a dinner feast impersonation of Feast of the Gods or Dinner of the Gods. It's a painting telling a story of Greek antiquity, Greek mythology. So it wasn't even the right God. And everybody's all offended because these drag queens are mocking Christianity. Now let's backtrack a little bit. Let's go back more than a year to this very podcast. What did I tell you? What did I try to teach on this podcast? Do your homework. And not only do your homework, but realize why you should be doing your homework. It's because of bullshit like this. You see something, and this actually also goes back to me being an umpire school, one of the best lessons that I learned in umpire school was not about fair foul, safe out, ball strike, none of that. Best lesson that I learned so I just tried to get herself an extra listener. I'm getting text messages from somebody who's like, here's why I'm not answering you. Tune in. The best lesson that I ever learned in umpire school, two of them. Control what you can control. You cannot control what goes on in France unless you're there and it has something to do with you. Lesson number two, a little learning is a dangerous thing. We learn a little bit, and now we fancy ourselves experts and we think we know a lot. You see what looks to you like the Last Supper. And now you're all offended about a performance in someone else's country. Doesn't that sound a little stupid? Let's say the French tune into the Nashville network and they see our fat asses country line dancing. When they start laughing, well, actually, when they finally stop laughing, they're going to tell you, we did stuff like that 300 years ago. We go to raves now. So this display, this portion of the entire opening ceremony, which apparently sucked. Okay, fine. For the first time, let's talk. Can we just talk about good stuff for a little bit? For the first time, some city who had the Olympics before wanted to do something different. And as such, thought, you know what? Let's make it a parade. Let's let the entire city see it. Our own people. We're going to take care of our own people. Republicans, remember when you've been bitching about that for the past year or more? Kudos to the French and Parisian governments for being a little conservative. Deep breath, calming breath. But I mean, when then people, I don't even know this other guy. I kind of sort of figured out who the woman was, but I don't know the guy at all. I don't even know where to find that. Wow. I mean, yeah. I just got a note from the general manager at 1490. She's on a vacation. Shout out to Vanessa. Oh, wait, that's not. Oh, sorry. No, that's not Val. That's Vanessa. My bad. I don't know what the post is we're being tagged about, but oh, sounds interesting. So Vanessa Phillips from What's Up Pasco, one of the charities I work with, had a rather long post on, which one is this? Probably Facebook. Coffee, cheers to everybody. Is that focusing? No. Maybe if I block the. I got to fix that setting too. Yeah, let's take a look at it. I don't hate Trump. Yeah. We don't agree on everything. I hate how nobody understands what causes the economic problems that we have, then act like they do by repeating propaganda they heard on the news. Fair argument. I hate how people make fun of my 10 years of college, then spread misinformation and me and tell me I'm wrong when I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Bill, you there? I hate how people's sexual orientation becomes political or viewed as against our military. Let me tell you a military story. When I was in the Secret Service, I spent a year undercover. Similar to how the CIA monitors terrorist chat, we did the same thing for fraud. And there's some things I can't talk about here. Somebody that was coaching me who knows how to do that said, do some normal things while you're online. Meaning that if I would be online talking in an AOL chat room, see how long ago this was, do that. Don't have everything that I'm doing be about fraud. And the reason for that is if your system is penetrated, at least it'll look normal and it won't appear to be law enforcement or less likely to appear to be law enforcement. I mean, the way we stored credit card numbers and identities and whatever else would be exactly the way the bad guys did. Except we sent that information to the banks. Bad guys stole it from the banks. And so one of those totally irrelevant to fraud conversations I had was with some Dutch Marines. So for, I guess, Belgium, they would be like our special forces. These are like the guys. And similar to many teams like that, this particular group that I got talking with, I so wish I was able to stay in contact with them. But like so many other teams, these guys were in a team of 6. Six-man team. 4 of the 6 were gay. 2 of the 4 were a couple. 2 guys were on the team, were dating. Now follow the math here. 6-man team, 4 of which are gay, 2 of which are dating, all 6 of which have played around together. Like it was a Friday night. Hey, the football game's on. Want to get naked? And to them, remember, football is soccer to us. And they had zero problem with that. If you haven't figured out, 2 of those 6 are straight. You doing the math with me? And like I said, zero issue with it. Now, what you're not being told is that we don't have much of an issue with it here. We don't have near as much of an issue with it here. You're just told we do. In all actuality, the people to whom it matters, the military, have been polled. And they don't give a shit. They don't care. They want to know if the person aside of them in a Humvee, in a helicopter, in a foxhole, can do their job. That's it. Because those conservative ones that are straight and saying Jesus every 10 seconds and whatever else, all they want to do is the same thing that the tranny wants to do. Let's go home alive. Do their job, come home alive. So that chat conversation was, I'm going to try to get back into this thing, but today's just a test. And here's one. I hate, and this is a woman writing this, in case you haven't figured out. I hate that my reproductive rights are under Ron DeSantis's, or the quote unquote ruling party's control. This woman, by the way, is conservative. And all I'll say is, I'm not going to give her name because she doesn't know I'm even reading this. Nope, because she still doesn't see my text. But it's on Facebook. People can see it. I hate that influential community people, weren't we just talking about that, share disgusting, sexist things about a woman presidential candidate. And nobody cares. I'm going to talk about something else quick, another tangent. This has been thrown around a little bit. Imagine what people would say about Kamala Harris if she had 5 kids by 3 different husbands, was a convicted felon, almost 80 years old, and was with a porn star while her husband was home with an infant kid, or got pregnant by her 3rd husband while still married to the 2nd. What would we be talking about with her or about her? And why aren't we talking about that when it comes to somebody who's supposed to be representing us on an international stage, a moral one, because remember, he's our family values candidate? Ew. And, yeah. I hate seeing women degrade other women of power the way men do. Yeah, that's a head scratcher. Yeah. I hate that nobody understands the 3 legislative branches. Well, the 3 branches of government are the legislature, the executive branch, and the judicial branch, Congress, President, Supreme Court, respectively. I hate how my whole life, my Christian family made me terrified of an antichrist. Here it comes. That describes Trump's to a T. And when I say that, they call me a demon. I've got two brothers that are huge Trump supporters. I'm not. I went home for Thanksgiving. I was given multiple orders from mom and dad to not talk politics. Did we talk politics? Of course. When the brothers were stupid enough to bring it up, because they just thought that regurgitating Fox talking points would take their pseudo Ivy League educations and put me in my place. For example, when one of my brothers told me that Tony Fauci invented the Google virus, invented the coronavirus, when I stopped laughing, I picked up my phone, Googled it. There's where Google was coming from. And found one entry about this big, important issue. I found one entry. And it was Fox News. I thought, oh, here we go. So I start reading it. And you know what Fox News was doing? Debunking that myth. I gave that to my brother. I said, here you go. Here's your invention. I get the wave, and he walks away. My other brother, and all three of us are barrel suckers. We're gun guys. My other brother, so says he, I don't know this is accurate, but so says my other brother, I won't say which one. I'm already going to get my tit in a ringer from mom. The only reason he's voting for Trump is because Biden is coming after his guns. Now, keep in mind, a year ago when I settled this issue, I gave links to all of my family on how to watch that episode. Here's why that is never going to happen. Right now, our country is split almost 50-50. Pretty damn close. Such that every time we do a poll on who you're voting for president, the differential is less than the margin of error, which means the poll is totally useless. Because that 46-42 could swing very easily with the crappy margin of error being 5 points. That's high. And I think we've also already talked about my opinion of political polls. When you poll 1,000 registered voters, 10,000 registered voters, and X number says they're going to be for Trump. What you don't know is that 55% of them were taken from households surrounding outer Hillsborough and Pinellas counties, the two very liberal counties in Florida. If that's 55% of those 10,000, the remaining 45% was taken from inside Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. So what do you think the results are going to be? And the media does that to keep themselves relevant. Well, how do you know that? It's a pretty big claim. I don't know. Maybe they told me. Maybe when you travel with them for 3 years straight, they tell you that, among other things. Fox News knows they've been lying for however long. Most of them are just as liberal as the rest of the media. What did Tucker Carlson say? I despise him. I can't wait till he's gone. That doesn't sound very flattering. And don't get me started on the number of cabinet members from him, you know who I'm talking about, who have not endorsed him. Through his 4 years, all of 4 years, he has had 44 cabinet positions. There's only like, I don't know, 10 or 12 members of the cabinet. Now, keep in mind that also includes the vice president, who, by the way, refuses to endorse him, national security advisor, chief of staff, and we know that was a revolving door. 4 have endorsed him. And I think we know where we score with people like one of those 40 who have not, General John Kelly, also Secretary John Kelly, then Chief John Kelly, 4-star Marine General, Secretary of Homeland Security, Chief of Staff. He was like the second or third Chief of Staff, and he was gone by 2019. Isn't that a clue? When none of these people who know him the best and are experts in various world affairs won't support the guy? It's one thing if you don't like him. You're not there to like your boss. You're all there to serve your country. And in fact, it's actually a good thing when various members of a cabinet don't like each other. Usual example, Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State. Secretary of Defense job to go to war. It's a Secretary of State job to silver tongue our way out of it. So, yeah, he can't get anybody to like him except my 2 brothers, who, one of whom, I haven't finished that one yet, and then we got to start wrapping up. Our test is complete. I told you, we're all barrel suckers, was the term I learned when I get into law enforcement. We're all gun carriers. We're all pro Second Amendment. The difference between my brothers and me is that I'm also for the remaining 9 amendments of the Bill of Rights. Last year, I did an election topic episode, and one of those issues was gun control. And it really showed not just how much, the whole episode showed not just how much the country split, but also how much most Republicans, most Democrats are not down party lines. And for example, 37% of Republicans are pro-choice. That's not the Republican thing. And here's the other one. Let's get into the math and then we'll wrap up. This is why Biden and now Kamala will never get the assault weapons ban that so many people are crying for. You're not going to get the Republicans to support that. Hello. 20% of Democrats carry a gun. Not our pro-Second Amendment. Carry a gun. So what does that mean? That more than 20% of Democrats are pro-Second Amendment. Because there's people that are pro Second Amendment. They don't carry a gun, but they're pro Second Amendment. I haven't had an abortion, but I'm pro choice. Did you just hear that? I just cracked knuckles. So when you do that math, let's say, keep it easy. We've got 100% of voters, and they're all Republican or Democrat. Forget about us independents because everybody does anyway. 50% of those voters are not going to support your weapons ban. Most of those 50% are not going to support your weapons ban. Then you've got another 20% of the other side that, 2 in 10, 1 in 5, that's still 70% of your voters don't support a weapons ban. So how are you going to get a weapons ban? Well, Donald Trump fixed the economy. Clearly, you have no idea how an economy works and how long it takes to, quote unquote, fix the economy. Especially when you can screw it up pretty fast. Like Donald did. But things were so much better. Prices were cheaper. Well, okay. If we want to really talk about how good things are or how good things were, then let's compare Donald's prices to George W.'s or even to Barack's, both of whom are still going to be lower than Donald's. So what's that telling you? The further we go along, the more inflation is going to kick and the more prices are going to go up. Well, why could we still do so much more with under Donald Trump? Because he gave you a tax break that has expired. Well, I thought the one for the millionaires and billionaires didn't expire. Correct. Yours did. And roughly the amount of money that you saved with that tax break, which you didn't save, you just got it at a different time, and you'll find out why that sucks. 12 months out of the year, say you got back or actually were able to keep $100 a month. There you go. There's your grocery money that makes cereal and eggs seem cheaper, which, by the way, are no more expensive than what they were when I moved here 3 years ago. Even though that's actually going up, and it's not because of inflation. It's because the CEO of General Mills, the company that makes most of your cereal, gets paid $16 million a year to make cereal. And because he now needs a bonus, they just sold $300 million worth of stock to investors, bought it back for half price so that they could pay him. And certain investors, we call that a board. Nothing to do with inflation, why there's a 20% increase in the cost of cereal. So $100 a month you've now got for groceries during the Trump administration. What you didn't see, what you bitched about a little bit, and then by the time you were ready to hear somebody's response and see them jump on the bandwagon, your next paycheck came in and you were able to buy groceries. But what you bitched about was the fact that at the end of the year, and you get your refund back, it's about 30 to 35% smaller than what it had been, that what you had been trained your whole life to get, which is actually bad because when you get a tax refund, it's money that was yours and the government had it for the whole year, interest free. And you could have been doing something with it. We call that an opportunity cost. when you don't have money that you should have had, or when you spend money on one thing, it prevents you from spending that same amount of money on something else, like groceries. So now that tax break has expired. But Donald Trump doesn't tell you that. Mike Johnson doesn't tell you that. Why? Because theirs haven't. And they don't care about you. You're right about that part. You just got the wrong side. And Democrats don't care about you that much either, but at least they try to do something beneficial to you to keep themselves in good space. So, yeah, that's what my two brothers are thinking. Lehigh University versus the state Penn State. I guess that's why people need to be listening to me. I've been saying it. Been saying it now for the past year or more. And I'm right. I told you there was going to be a Democratic rally for unity. I didn't say it was going to be against Joe Biden, but I said there was going to be unity, as I was told there was going to be by somebody in place. I told you that something like January 6th was going to happen. I told you that Biden or Obama, wow, wrong one. Trump, I told you that Trump was going to be indicted. All of that came true. So now as I sit and evaluate life, and I come up with a prediction that my current prediction, that is, there'll be a rather strong showing. I'm not going to say it's the blue wave that everybody else is saying, that some other people are saying, or more like hoping for, but the strong showing for the Democrats in November. Kamala Harris just did a rally in Atlanta yesterday. She's not the nominee. I mean, she is. We've talked about that before. But she's only recently announced, and she's still getting rid of her own previous gaffes, laughing, saying that we celebrate the 4th of July because it's in July or whatever the hell the other thing was. I mean, at least she's talking about a government-oriented issue as opposed to, I don't know, getting eaten by sharks while being electrocuted by a battery on a boat, or Hannibal Lecter, or kitty litter, or screwing your sofa. Yeah, I have to. That's not a head scratcher. That's a oh, look, a wall. Boom. Crack your head into a wall to try to figure that out. I just don't get it. And I don't see the appeal. I saw the appeal for Donald Trump because after calling him Hitler, and Trump went, "Oh, cool. I like that. You can be my vice president." He's a yes man because he didn't think Biden was going to step aside. He thought it was going to be an easy victory. And now he's stuck with this guy that he never really wanted in the first place, other than the fact he's a yes man. And we know Donnie likes that. We didn't get to everything because I got to talking. Wow. But we'll be back tomorrow. We'll definitely be back with the usual show on Friday. 2 hours on Friday starting at 11. First hour on 99.1 WDJY. Second one on 1490 WWPR. And both of them on Rainbow Radio and Yerg's Radio. You can find Rainbow Radio at rainbowradio.gay or .lgbt. And Yerg's Radio, yergsradio.com, or wherever you get your internet radio. The UG.media is in taped replay. It's not live. So yeah, stay tuned. We're working with 99.9 WXJB in Brooksville, 1520 WXYB in Clearwater, possibly 3 more stations down in Miami, and America One Radio is an online progressive. Obviously, listening today, you think I'm some libtard, but is an online progressive talk station in Atlanta. So it'll be a second Atlanta station that we're on. You can find them AmericaOneRadio.com. More in the Olympics as we go throughout the week. And yeah, gang, that's it. It's been fun, but I've got another meeting to get to. So let's do this. I'll see you again.
First of all, what? What?
Relax, darling. We're all mishpacha. All right. Well, that's all the time we have this week. My name is Linda Richmond.
And my name is Liz. Of course, this is my mother. Barbara, we love you. Hello, gorgeous. The movie was like butter.
Like butter.
Like a big stick of butter.
Mama! Oi.
All this talk about food, I'm getting hungry, girls.
She is like butter. Oh, I can die now. I can die. Barbara, you're beautiful. That's all the time we have. I have to go and die now.